Hey dudes, MrRhodiumGames here.
Hello guys, MrRhodiumGames here, and welcome to BIT.TRIP Runner. So, I already recorded this, basically, and I forgot to record my microphone again because I'm a scrub nub. So I'll just kind of rinse and repeat of what I basically recorded, but yeah, I'll just kind of explain stuff. So, for the past few days, there's been no videos, literally for like a week or so, a bit more than a week. Reason one, my internet's been terrible, and I was actually gonna record a bit of Rust, a game that is sort of a survival-y game, a bit like DayZ actually, but better. Nah, it's old opinion, really. But I was gonna record a bit of Rust, but because my internet is so freaking terrible, I could not. And so yeah, I didn't record anything like that. I can't really do anything online at the minute. And also, I've actually lost my Minecraft account, and I've contacted Mojang, but they have not been any use to me at all. They literally just say, "Oh, go to our customer support," and when I do, they practically just don't do anything. And I lost it on the 6th, so that's a while now. Yeah, and then that's why I'm just playing this, because it's a nice, peaceful game. Yeah. So then, on top of the internet thing, I'm starting to go back to school, because I have actually been homeschooled for 2 years, and so I was going back to school. First day back, perfectly, great. It was great, first day back is brilliant. Second day, I literally, so I had second day back, and I had to go to the hospital because my stomach had really bad pains, and at first the doctors thought it would be, they thought it was appendicitis. So I stayed overnight to see if the pain grew worse, and it didn't. So they let me out, and apparently it could just be an infection, etc., something of that nature, which it's good. I'm not gonna lie, but I do kind of, I think that having your appendix removed should just be a standard thing, because then no one will ever have appendicitis, because no one will have their appendix. I think that makes sense. What if, like, 2 humans, right, that didn't have their appendix bred, would their baby be born without appendix, Obviously it wouldn't, it would still be born with appendix, but if it worked like that, that'd be brilliant. Stitch, like, 4 arms onto a person, make them breed, 4-arm baby, But like a perfectly working 4-arm baby, not like the bad 4-arms. Anyway, so the hospital, it was a weird experience, because I'd never been in a hospital overnight before. So number one, right, of why it was just a bit weird, right? So I was put in a little bed next to, well, actually no, first I had to like wait for a billion hours, just sort of sitting in this little room doing practically nothing. I hate needles, and they had to come and put like a needle in my arm so that they could attach drips, etc. later on. And so once they'd done that, I eventually got moved up to the like weird waiting ward with all the beds. But actually, I wasn't in a bed at first. I was like sitting down on a chair for about 3 hours, just with my mum. And I wasn't allowed to eat or drink anything. Okay, so bear in mind, I'd had no food or drink for this entire day. And the reason this was because if I had to have an operation, if it was appendicitis, if I had to have an operation, obviously they need to, they don't want me like throwing up whilst having an operation, because that's basically dangerous, isn't it? That's not a good thing. Don't want a bit of puke, you don't want puke heart, do you? Who the hell wants puke heart? So I'd basically waited. Eventually I got moved up to my bed, and I was allowed food. And the bed, right, first of all, they didn't give me a pillow, and they also didn't give me like a thingy, a a cover, like a mattress, you know, like a bed cover. So I had no pillow or bed cover. Everyone else fucking did, didn't they? I also had the bed that made the fucking most like weird noise when you moved it up and down, because you know you get those little remote controls. They were all those. So obviously I had to have the one that made the weird noise when you move it up and down. It wasn't good. Everyone just like, as soon as I move my bed in like an inch, everyone just looks at me like, what the hell is that guy doing over there? You know, and yeah, and so they had a little TV. At first they had CBeebies on, and the whole room is filled with teenagers, bear in mind. So like, I don't know why they had that on. They put Come Dine With Me on. Obviously that's even worse, because I still couldn't eat food by this point. You know, I was watching a food program, whilst not being able to eat food. People were eating food around me, talking about food. There's like this kid who kept on going and coming with food. Now eventually I was allowed to eat food, but as soon as I was allowed to eat food, right, this new kid was put into a bed across the thing, not across the thing from me, like diagonally across, because there's 3 beds on each side. I was in a middle bed, and he was on the other side to me, diagonally, and he had like a vomit thing, right? So for the whole time, as soon as I was allowed food, there was just this kid going into like a bowl and like into a sink, and it just smelled like puke. It was not nice. And then another thing, right? I couldn't see the TV because the beds have curtains around them, right? And eventually this other kid came here, and he had his curtains, like, literally 24/7. He was just like, I want my curtains around me. So, you know, his mum put his curtains around, not even considering that I couldn't see the TV. She could have at least moved them back a tad so I could somewhat see it, and he'd still be in a secluded area. But no. I just basically couldn't watch TV. So I, like, lay there staring at the ceiling pretty much for my entire time there. I have really bad hospital hair now as well, so that's not a good thing. But I don't know, it was kind of a weird experience. What I did like was, as soon as I was allowed to eat food, they did basically be like, here, have this sandwich, it will help you. And I had that. Before I could eat food, they gave me a drip so I didn't get too dehydrated. And it stuck into my arm, and it was, I don't know, it's weird. It wasn't really painful, and I couldn't feel anything either. So, that was actually pretty fine. What else? What else happened? I had some ready brek and toast for breakfast in the hospital. I'm actually out of the hospital now, obviously. That's how I'm recording this. I don't know, it was a kind of cool/weird experience, and if any of you go to hospital and you've never been there before, it's actually kind of cool and alright. You know, you have infinite food, because they had like these little food racks that you could just go and get a bit of food from. They also had like a kitchen with like coffee and tea in it, and just go get that. The juice, right, it was in these little sort of pot things, like these little kind of plastic piss cups with like little foily lids on. Like a yogurt pot, but with juice in. And there was orange and apple juice. It was just kind of weird. I don't know why they'd be in that and not a carton, but, you know. And then, I had to have my, my balls felt, right? It was the worst thing. It was so fucking awkward. Like, oh yes, I need to feel your balls, for important reasons. And it was just kind of weird. Like, so first time it was a lady who did it. Second time it was a guy, and for some reason I felt more comfortable with the guy. I guess maybe it was probably because he was the second one who felt them, and like, you know, second time around, kind of used to it. So maybe that was why. But yeah, it was a bit weird, to be honest. Anyway, yeah, apparently I might just have sort of like an infection or something. Yeah. It was quite weird. I couldn't even connect to the internet or anything, and like if you wanted to even like do anything with their internet, you had to pay. That's kind of mean. I don't know. Why would you have to pay to use hospital internet? I mean, you're in the hospital anyway. You know, what if you're in there for like months and you just, you know, want to use it for a bit? You have to pay. Like, that kind of sucks, you know? Luckily I was only in there for one night. I was in there for over 24 hours though. Just lying down in a fucking bed. It was actually quite depressing, really. The food wasn't that bad, I guess, but that's probably because I'd been starved, to, like, almost starved to death beforehand. So, like, any food was just the best thing ever. Yeah. The fruit, though, it was horrible. That was not the best thing ever, right? So they had, like, you could have fruit if you wanted, and kind of imagine if you had an orange, but, like, it had no juice in it. Like, when you get the, like, a really dried out orange, but, you know, it was horrible. Like, you bite it, and all it was is, like, orange skin. And then they also had apples. You know when an apple is really fluffy? They had fluffy apples. I don't like bananas, so I didn't have any of their bananas. But, yeah. I had, like, a little cake thing they have, right? I had a little cake from them. And it was the shittest cake, right? It tasted alright, but the actual texture was like, you touched it, like, you poke it, and then suddenly it just disintegrates and turns into, like, just mere, like, tiny atoms floating around in time and space. It was literally the worst cake, but it didn't taste that bad. The coffee was terrible, and didn't have any of the tea because apparently that was also terrible, according to my mum. They had a shower and everything, but I really don't want to use a hospital shower because I don't know. Like, does anyone want to use a hospital shower? I don't. It's a bit weird. Okay, when I next die or when I next win, I'm going to end this video off. And I'll try and record some other things, but to be honest, I don't know. I just got out of hospital, so I kind of want to chillax, you know? So yeah, see you guys later. I've been MrRhodiumGames, and you guys have been awesome. Bye-bye.